If in the first season of The Boys we were shocked by the audacity of the series and watched memes with their train, in principle, in the fourth season this audacity did not decrease. I would even say it even increased. Before the release of absolutely all episodes, I wanted to say that something is still missing in this season, and I think it's not just me who noticed it. But guys, here you see the last episode. This is awesome. Today we will talk about it. Finally, the long-awaited fourth season of The Boys is completely over. For several years in a row, the guys have been putting the usual movies about superheroes in their place. I'm already silent about the latest Marvel movies. However, Deadpool and Wolverine, the first 3 seasons flew by in one breath.
Because it was actually something new, unusual and definitely funny.
But still, the most important factor was the plot, because each series kept you in suspense from the beginning to the end. Of course, this cannot be said at once of all 3 seasons, because gradually the audience criticized the series more. And bam, season 4. As soon as the first series came out, there was a feeling that the series had lost its globality, which was visible in the first 3 seasons. It seemed that the plot just revolves in one place, and you sit in constant anticipation of the moment when we will finally be thrown into the plot. The season has been expected for 2 years, and everything here is supposedly the same as before, and supposedly as it should be, but the rays have fallen. And again, but that was at the beginning. Fortunately, at the end of the season, this situation changed, and it didn't just change. What happened in the first season? Will Walt get into the defense sector, get more power? And the last few episodes of season 4. A psychopathic dictator by nature is banned to power by weapons against super concentration camp, the introduction of martial law and the dispute of several views on the future at all. Ooh. I think after this, you cannot say for sure that the stakes in the series have fallen. In general, I think that this season can easily be divided into 2 different parts. The first is the first 5 episodes, the second is the last 3. Why so? Well, because the beginning of the season is radically different from its end. The first series were actually very important and are not just a pacing link to the 5th season, but a full-fledged part without which you cannot continue the further story. After all, the whole point of the series, and in the season itself, was focused on individual characters and their development. Each of them has faced a critical moment in their lives. Butcher, who has a dark side and a good side, finally decides what he really cares about. A man who finally decides not to run away from problems. The Frenchie and Kimiko, who wonder about their past and are finally able to deal with their inner problems too. And the others. Well, except for the Dip, he is the same. This man does not change. By the way, I saw the largest number of negative reviews about the Frenchie arc. Why they destroyed the very scene of the characters, the plot is sucked out of the finger and makes no sense at all. Yes and no. On the one hand, it was really strange to see how the romantic relationship between Kimiko and the Frenchie was put to rest and a new character, Colin, was introduced. Who, to be honest? Does anyone still remember after watching the whole season? I already forgot about him. Why the question is why was he there? And the answer is simple. Probably in order to lead the Frenchie to the path of correction, also in a somewhat strange way, using not some familiar character, who after 3 series is simply thrown away. And in the end, they still solve their problems with Kimiko, probably because they finally just decided to talk to each other. But why the screenwriters did not come out with something more appropriate is another question. I thought the low relationship between them would never develop. During all the past series, nothing serious happened, but at this point I was just crying and standing up. And here's something, the fact that at the beginning the series seemed to be really stuck in one place, unable to finish the old questions. In fact, in principle, most of the 4th season was decided to this, to finally go into the 5th season with a clean soul, so to speak, and finally finish the story. Nevertheless, a lot of important events took place, in addition to the formation of characters. And finally, the virus against the supers entered the game, along with Sam and Kay from Gen V. By the way, I also like this series. I went through it at one sitting, but at the beginning I didn't attach any great importance to it, thinking that it was just an ordinary spin-off from the Boys universe, which would be connected to the main story except for the some references, but no more. But after the 7th episode of the 4th season of The Boys, I still decided to watch Gen V, and was surprised, to put it mildly, because many plot holes that were opened in the 4th season were closed, and waiting for the 8th final series after they became even more interesting. I won't dwell on each character's arc, because each of them is the main one and each story is worth paying attention to. To this could drag on for a long time. Therefore, let's consider the overall picture, in which absolutely every character is involved. After all, it was this fact that saved the season at the last 3 series, when the story seemed coherent and consistent for the first time, that had main events, which were sometimes interrupted by transfer to other characters. But the main attention was still focused on the main event. For example, in the 6th series, it was a gathering in the house of the Techno Knight. In the 7th series, everything was also quite coordinated. Also, some the central event for the creation of a virus. At this point, I was very confused. For others, it was an attack by the Deep and Noir.
Bro.
And in the 8th series, well, I won't even say anything. The last 5 minutes became the most consistent than the entire season before that, but fate that we were still judged for a very long time until the final of the season, where what had to happen happened anyway. The events of the season just happened, go their own way, Butcher just walks in at the end, says,
No deals.
and it began.
Stuff in between.
But damn, it's still one of the coolest shows out there right now. We were left with a lot of questions that we will hear the answer to only in the 5th season. When will he be? Probably somewhere in 2026? Well, why so long? But the most important thing is that they are there. There is a point of waiting for the 5th season. The story is not over. I hope the directors and screenwriters will work on the mistakes so as not to clue the release of the new season with bad reviews. But for such a finale of the season, I can already be said that they corrected themselves. Also, they were almost too late with it.